Okay, I have some channeled messages I wrote down, so bear with me if you're interested. So they were saying this isn't about who wins anymore, it's about comfort, and also you may be nationally ranked in something, or you should be, or you are about to be. For some of you that's like literally in like gaming, I was getting, but it could have to do with literally anything. I was also picking up something about like a course correction that is going to lead to an exponential growth in some way, but like specifically exponential growth that like requires less effort. It's almost like the momentum is going to like take care of itself now or something. And then I channeled something about that sound, like the 1 2 1 2 3 release them, but instead of like them releasing balloons or whatever, it's like spirits like releasing your rewards and gifts and blessings. Okay, and they are stressing that they're releasing those things instead of balloons, because technically it is horrendous for the environment to like release balloons like that, I guess. I don't know. Also, you could have seen somebody who looked eerily similar to a deceased loved one recently, or you will soon, or you saw them in your dream. And also something about like, maybe not all, but it was coming through as like all of your recent dreams are prophetic in some way. And you may be having memories of dreams that you had in the past that are like coming up, like dreams you had years and years ago, like that are about to materialize into your reality. Like things that also it's giving that, like, so say you saw like a landscape in your dream and you thought that that was like a different world or a different reality, and then you may see that landscape like come across your social media or your FYP, like that exact locale or whatever, and you're like, oh shit, that place is real. And you're like, oh, if this is coming back up, like you can kind of feel if when your life is redirecting a certain way, especially if you are remaining tapped in, or and like just like trusting your intuition and stuff like that. But it's giving that, like, I don't know, like if you had like an old phone, right, and you had like a whole like photo gallery that you like saved screenshots or like things from Pinterest or whatever, like old ones, and like at the time there could have been certain like images or whatever that sparked joy in particular or whatever, and it's like those are the things that are manifesting, like things that you may have forgotten that you even felt called towards, or that you were like excited at the prospect of, or that like were such a dream for you. But there's something about like for the earth angels specifically, and I always say that because like I feel like, I don't know, because hold on, because you don't necessarily need to have like a specifically like angelic energy. I think it's very nuanced of a thing. I think you could also say like star seeds. It's just like the whole concept of it is that your soul is not from here, like your soul is not human, and you know that like, and it's not like a pretension thing or whatever. You just like know that you are like different or whatever, like you just know this, and you are like fulfilling your purpose and doing everything that you need to do. Okay, so obviously as a part of that, because I mean, if you like, we're kind of like replacing the corrupted elites, and all of that stuff is like collapsing. So obviously like the people who would be like leaders, who would not harvest energy from humanity and not be like easily corrupted by greed. That's why, a lot of the things that are posited as like facts and stuff like that, or like, oh, this is like an like, oh, this is how society works. This is how this demographic works, based on like averages or how things have been observed. And then like people may like try to make it seem like that's a fact, like all people within this age range feel like this, and they do this, and they act like this, and they like this, or like, oh, all women do this, or all men do this, or like all people in this nationality are like this, or blah 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 blah. Okay, which like all of that is like BS anyway, but it's giving that like those cycles are all being broken anyway, especially like the toxic and unhelpful ones. So we're gonna also start to see this like emergence of like, people who are not being corrupted by the power that they have, because our spirits were literally like the spirits that we were given these spirits be so that we can like handle it and like stay grounded and centered, and like our heart posture will always stay pure regardless of how much money, how much clout, how much attention, how much like power we get. because like we've been forged for that purpose, to be leaders that can handle their leadership properly without it like corrupting us. That's kind of the point. And then obviously a world run by non-corrupt leaders would lead to, not necessarily a utopia, because nothing is like perfect, but obviously it would be helpful if the people running the planet weren't like corrupt, okay? So like that's what we're stepping into, and that's what like a lot of us in this collective. And if this doesn't that if you like you're like that's not me, like I don't think I'm gonna be the leader. It could be like you are being forged so that your children will be those, like, again, like, you are being shaped so that you will be a part of a what's it called, like a union that will like develop, and I don't want to say breed or whatever, because sometimes my guides are kind of like detached or whatever, but they're basically like, yes, like you are being put into a union to breed the next generation of like leaders who are healed and who cannot be corrupted, in order to sort of like, especially if like Tartaria is maybe significant, but basically like there is like, even if regardless of if that, I'm not really gonna get into that, but like if you know about like the concept or the idea of what Tartaria was meant to be or represent, regardless of if it actually was real or not, I'm not getting into that, but like just the idea of it, it is like we are like manifesting that, you know what I mean? So if you like need to look it up, again, it's not about like, oh, if it actually was real, like the mud floods and all of that. The whole point is that like the leadership and like just like this collective energy, or just all of us in general or whatever, are sort of like being shaped and forged so that we are going to be like the leaders, or just like the energetic, like, I don't know, like pathfinders and stuff like that, that will sort of like create that Tartarian energy, like, and like bringing it to the forefront and like making that be the more dominant energy, if that makes sense. Like that's going to be the energy that's like running and operating the world, but we're like progressing towards that, okay? But yeah, the first part of this channeled message that like I saw or whatever, that it isn't about like who wins anymore, it's about comfort. So there's something about like shifting your mindset away from like the battle and fight and like the spiritual warfare, because that's already like a done deal, especially if you're like focused on that, or you're still feeling like reverberating energy, like some of you may have like, so for example, I'm getting that like there's like a momentary resurgence of like a shadow that you healed, like, so say, or not even a shadow, but like say you had like for me, I used to be agoraphobic, and I would have panic attacks like just going outside, and so like, but I healed that myself. And then yesterday I like randomly got a panic attack while driving, which like sucked ass, but like, I hadn't had that for a while, and like I could have despaired and been like, oh no, is this like the sign of me like regressing or something like that? But I just sort of like told myself that I'm like, oh, I must just be like alchemizing some really dense energy. And also sometimes when like hold on, it's also giving that like there's like a howl of defeat of like the dark, like, and not dark as in like oh, all dark energies are like inherently like bad, but I kind of mean like nefarious, malicious, the energies that sought to like, that are basically in opposition to like the pure heart center goals, the ones that want things to stay corrupt because they benefit off of that. It's like you hear like the like, like, it's like the what would you call like the opposite of like a cheer of victory, it's like they're like they're like lamenting their failure in ultimate defeat. And so you can kind of like, feel that maybe momentarily, and that can like disturb your like thing, because it is like this, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, it's kind of hard to explain, I hope that makes sense, but it's something that like you may energetically feel like a scream of like hatred and peril or whatever, of like the dark, negative, dirty vibration, as it realizes that it has truly lost, okay? And now you don't need to worry about that stuff anymore, and you are supposed to focus on like what would make you feel the most comfortable in your life, what would make you the happiest, and then manifest the F out of that, and like just like do not stop until you get it, you know what I mean?